Okay, another vinyl update video. I had been waiting to make this because I knew I had stuff coming in the mail, and then of course everything got trapped in the mail. Um, but I got all that stuff, so I'll go over that. And first though, just a couple things that had been kind of sitting around up until that point. This first one is a split with Namirs, and then on the back, you can't really tell, but it's versus self. Two banger bands that we have seen both of them. And yeah, it was really cool that they put out a split together because now they even like share members and stuff. Oh god, I totally demolished this. There we go, okay. Yeah, and so there's some bangers on here from both bands. So glad to get this. It's finally back on vinyl. So yeah, now my Versus Self collection is nearing completion. There's only the demo left, but I kind of don't really care about the demo, honestly. Like, they re-recorded most of the songs on there, or even all of them, I think, on the album, and they... Normally, I'm a fan of, like, more raw sounding, less produced, but I don't know, it just sounds better on the album to me. I do need to work on the Namirs collection, though, because they have their album, or maybe it's even just an EP, but it's so good, but it got, like, a super limited pressing, and unlikely to be pressed again. Very expensive, so we'll see. But that was first. Continuing on the skramz stuff, this is the band with the crazy long name, Drive Your Plow Over the Bones of the Dead. Crazy. I really, really like this album. It came out last year, made my top 10. And so when it was pressed, I was like, hell yeah, I gotta get it. And then while I was there, I also picked up, they have a 7-inch. And this is cool because this is like vintage, I mean, not actually vintage, but like the style of vintage Screamo records where it's literally on like brown paper bag with just like a stamp screen printed on it. That's why a lot of old skramz records literally look like, you know, this kind of like brown with like black. It's because they literally were packaging them this way because it was super cheap. So it's kind of cool that they also did this, just as a little homage to that. So those were what I had gotten before the trip, and then this is what's been stuck in the mail ever since. So first up is the Haywire EP that came out last year. This band like really blew up. They've been getting a lot of buzz for good reason, because they're awesome hardcore, and they don't really sound like everyone else. They're not doing beatdown stuff. They're doing just kind of like hardcore-ass hardcore, you know? And so the album's really good. And then this EP is kind of like, I think it's like 2 or 3. Yeah, it's 3 new songs. And then my favorite song on the album called Love Song, which is like the poppiest one on there. Usually it doesn't work that way for me. But there's a version of it on here that's like acoustic. And it's almost like an indie folk singer-songwriter version, done by Matt from Citizen and Mercy from Fleshwater. So, very cool. And then, yeah, there's 2 demos on here also. Although the demos are just for other songs that are on here. So, anyways, though, this EP I quite liked. It made the long list for my best of the year, but got cut because there was a lot of great stuff that came out last year. I don't think the album even made the list, so that should tell you how good the year was. But yeah, I really enjoyed their album. It grew on me a lot, and there's some bangers on here too. Next up, this is Yaphet Kato. I don't know how to pronounce that. But this band was from Santa Cruz, actually, and they were a Screamo band in the 90s, I think. 90s, early 2000s. And I found their first album on YouTube randomly, and it's awesome, and it's not on Spotify, which sucks. But then this got pressed. It got put out by a record label that I really like called Repeater Records, and they basically just reissue old 90s skramz bands stuff. And so I have a good chunk of the stuff that they've pressed. And so this, it's weird. It's not a full discography, but it's close enough. So it's like most of their stuff. And then the only thing missing, there's like one like 7-inch or something that's not on there. And then there's it's somewhere in there. But they had one album that came out later on, like 03 or something. And that one, actually, when we were at Amoeba 2 or 3 times ago, I picked up because when we were just flipping through the punk section, I found it and was like, oh shit, I know this band, and it's like $5. So it's kind of nice it worked out that that one is the only one that's not on here. So now I have their discography, and the album that was on YouTube is on here. So definitely stoked for that. Want to dig in and listen to them more because what I have heard is very cool. And the last thing is this Blue Note box set, the story of Blue Note. So there's this like record of the month service that I was a part of for a long time, but they are almost certainly going out of business, called Vinyl Me Please. And their quality was just kind of going downhill, so I stopped my subscription, and everything's kind of gone to shit since then. It was already on the way down, so I'm very glad that I canceled it. But I still had some open pre-orders because these box sets, there's one other one that I got also coming, hopefully. This one, like, I had it ordered for like over a year. That's how long it took to get here. So that should tell you the problems that they're going through right now. But this is actually a repress. They do anthologies is what they're called. They're these big box sets. I actually have a couple up there. I'll show you really quick. I have one for Impulse, and then just a Miles Davis one for his like electric albums. But yeah, funnily enough, all of the anthologies I've gotten are all jazz. They do more than just jazz ones, but yeah, this was the first one they ever put out, I think, but they repressed it. But yeah, it's like got 5 or 6 albums in here telling the story of Blue Note Records, which is like one of the most iconic and important jazz labels of all time. My favorite is probably Impulse because that's like the weirder 60s stuff that John Coltrane was doing and whatnot. And so I already have that one, but I still wanted to get this one. And I knew a lot of the names on here, but I didn't know the actual albums. But then I believe there is a John Coltrane album in here. Oh, that wouldn't make sense because I think only Blue Train was on Blue Note. Anyways, I don't even remember what's on here because it's been over a year since I ordered it. But it's a jazz box set. So I'm excited to dig into that. And it's really cool with their box sets. What they do is, in addition to the records, you know, they have like listening notes, which they put in all their individual albums too. But then they also have like, and they're like big, it's like almost a book. There's like 30 pages or something is what it said. But then they also like record a podcast for each of these box sets that they make, going over the albums and everything. So it's really like you can sit down and there's a lot of meat to dig into here. So yeah, definitely excited to listen to some of that jazz stuff too, learn some more. But yeah, that is everything. I have been, obviously these have been slowing down because I went way too crazy with Black Friday. But yeah, glad to have gotten some stuff. I think I have one more record coming in the mail, but then everything else is like I have some pre-orders, but nothing like coming in. So might be a while till you see another one of these unless I go to Redwood or something. But anyways, hope you enjoyed.